If you're taking the LSAT, you're going to want to change up your prep. They just made the biggest change to the LSAT in over 30 years. They nuked one of the three sections of the LSAT, removing it from the exam entirely. And so you're going to want to make sure that you're using up to date LSAT materials. Today, I'll walk you through the recent changes and what they mean for your prep going forward. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my LSAT score from a 152 to 175. Of course, back when I took the LSAT, it was in person, on paper, with the logic game section. If you're taking it going forward, you can take it from home. It'll be on a computer and it'll be without the logic game section. For those who aren't aware, LSAC got sued a couple years back by blind test takers who said they were at an unfair disadvantage because they couldn't benefit from diagramming on the logic game section the way that other test takers could. LSAC refused to compromise. They got sued. They ultimately had to settle the lawsuit and agreed to develop a new version of the test without the logic games section. They briefly considered replacing logic games with a new type of question, but ultimately they scrapped those plans and decided to just add more logical reasoning questions instead. This is great news for you because taking the LSAT going forward, you've got less material to study. You can narrow your focus, double your focus on logical reasoning, and any gains you make in your understanding of logical reasoning will be doubled across those two sections. It's now 2/3 of the test. So I would spend roughly 2/3 of your LSAT prep time, all else being equal, devoted to the logical reasoning section. Now, there are a lot of different types of logical reasoning questions. By some counts, you could say there's 15 types or so, but not all of them show up in equal proportion, meaning some are more common than others. The three most common types of logical reasoning questions you're going to want to focus on are necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. Master those before spending any time on the rare types that hardly ever show up, like evaluate the argument or parallel, that only show up a couple of times per exam. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that LSAC will make the logical reasoning section harder to compensate for the removal of the logic games section. There's no evidence, however, to indicate this, and LSAC themselves denies this, and I believe them in part because the logical reasoning sections are validated or considered valid test material because they've been tested out on previous versions of the LSAT. One reason LSAC feels so confident in removing logic games and adding more logical reasoning is that they've tested out these questions and tested out the section difficulty over several previous LSAT administrations. LSAC is remarkably consistent and remarkably committed to the validity and reliability of the LSAT. And so removing logic games is a big enough change that I wouldn't expect them to do anything crazy on the LSAT in the near future. It is possible, however, they will add more conditional reasoning and formal logic to the logical reasoning section since they can no longer test these concepts on the games section since there is no longer a logic games section. Of course, this would not be adding some new question type to the LSAT. If we see more questions on formal logic or more questions involving quantitative reasoning, meaning numbers and percentages, for example, that would not be the introduction of a new question type, but rather more of what we've already seen on previous LSAT administrations. And so if you want to brush up on these question types, it wouldn't be a bad idea. You'll see several of these questions in the old previously administered LSATs. However, you should know that along with the changes to the LSAT format, removing logic games, adding more logical reasoning, LSAC completely reshuffled and rearranged the numbered LSAT prep tests. Under the old numbering system with the logic game section, LSAC numbered the released LSAT prep tests from 1 to 94, these being the previously administered and released LSAT practice tests that you can use for your studying. However, along with removing logic games, LSAC created new practice tests by simply combining the old ones but removing logic games and recalibrating the scoring so that you can now take all your practice tests with raw score conversions to show you how many questions you could get right or wrong and get a given score out of 180. And so the new numbered LSAT prep tests are 101 to 158. You can access those inside a paid Law Hub Advantage account on lsac.org. Any references to prep tests you see numbered 1 to 94 are the old system with logic games, and LSAC is discontinuing those. You can no longer start new practice tests with this format inside Law Hub, and LSAC has announced that in January 2025, they will remove these exams from Law Hub entirely. And so you want to make sure that you're doing these practice tests in the new format 101 to 158, the so-called August 2024 LSAT format, because August was the first LSAT ever without the logic game section, with 2 scored logical reasonings, 1 scored reading comp, and 1 unscored extra section of either logical reasoning and reading comp. Now, whenever you're taking the LSAT, if you're aiming for a top score, you're going to want to level up your prep. LSAT score medians have risen significantly in the past few years. There's been a lot of LSAT score inflation due to a variety of factors, including the fact that the LSAT is offered 8 times a year in contrast to the previous 4 times a year, meaning there are more opportunities to retake the LSAT, meaning you have more at-bats, more chances to get a top score. There's also a lot of competition due to the fact that LSAC has become more liberal in granting accommodations for things like extra time. And so if you're looking to get into a T14 school, you should be aware that the LSAT score medians at all the T14 are 170 or above. At Yale, the LSAT median is as high as 175. And so if you're committed to a top score, you're going to want to level up your prep. At LSAT Unplugged, we'd be glad to help you out. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. You can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.